Welcome to Love and Murder. I'm your host, Ky. I'm joined by my co-host, Char. The perfect marriage, great husband, nice house, cul-de-sac, 2 kids, white picket fence in a scenic neighborhood, swinging, open marriage, open sex, lots of alcohol, cheating, unhappiness, murder. This is one for the books. Un Menage à Trois pour Deux is the case of Sabrina Limon, right now on Love and Murder. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Love and Murder. I am your host, Ky, along with my co-host, the gorgeous, the wonderful, the illustrious.
Any more adjectives, Ky?
Got nothing, no. You know what, guys? I want to say this. I was thinking about this afternoon, and I thought to bring it to our listeners. Char wants me to say my name. Then she wants me to, be quiet so she can say her name. This is how she wants the intro. But every single time it comes to saying her name, all y'all hear is crickets. Have y'all noticed that? Because I sure have noticed it. Good Lord. I think we should just do the intro the way I do the intro, which is to say both of our names, because I don't know. Char's not getting it.
I don't know, because in my mind, I'm going, I'm your host, Ky, and I'm saying, and I'm Char, and I'm your host, Char. I mean, that seems simple. Isn't it logical?
I mean, but that's
then
what
I
we
missed,
do.
but I missed your introduction.
Yeah, whenever your cue comes, you say nothing. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna go back to me saying both our names. I think it's easier for all of us and all our followers. If y'all agree, let us know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
let us know. How do you want us to do our intro? Right. You'd be surprised what people comment about. They might say, "Yeah, let Char just." Sing a song or something about her, to introduce herself, to introduce myself, like anything. You never know what our listeners might be thinking would be an awesome intro.
And your first thing to think was sing a song, that our listeners would ask for that?
You never know. I mean,
God. Okay.
I don't know.
Anyways, this isn't the intro show. This is Love and Murder, the weekly true crime podcast, which discusses murders gone terribly wrong. And when I say terribly wrong, Char, how wrong do I mean?
She means dead wrong. Dead as a doornail.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Yes. So if you have been here before, hi everybody, welcome back. We love y'all. Hi. And
welcome
if you are new here, then I just want to tell you a little bit about our podcast. We talk about, like I said, true crime. We give you stories. We give you the mysteries. And on top of all of that, we sprinkle just a little bit of humor on top. Not that we make fun of the victims, but usually it's the murderers, what they were thinking, just stuff like that. That's where you're kind of like, what in the world? And that's where the humor comes in. But we do not ever make fun of the victims.
Well, America's Dumbest Criminals is definitely something to make light about, because some of the things that people do, like the choices that these criminals make, it just baffles us in each and every story. We're like, what? He did what? She did what?
Definitely.
Why? Yeah.
Now, like I said, if you've been here before, then you already know that you can catch us wherever you get your podcast. But if you're new here, then you can listen to us on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. You could listen to us on Spreaker. You could listen to us on iTunes, just wherever you get your podcast, wherever you feel more comfortable getting your podcast. We are everywhere. You can follow us on social media. The links are in the bio below, but I usually say all the links at the end of the show because I don't want to take up the beginning of the show with giving you all our social media details and everything. So you could either read it below, or if you just want to hear my gorgeous voice speaking the links, then you can wait till the end of the show. Now, if you want bonus episodes of the craziest true crime stories. Now, this week, I have a compilation of some crazy stories. So, but if you want to hear those, you want relationship advice, relationship Q&A, if you have relationship questions, and of course, you want it to be anonymous, you could literally tell it to us, and we'll give you advice. If you want to hear Char's crazy stories, and if you want to get the full-length episodes of my new YouTube channel, then definitely go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/love and murder, and become a subscriber of $3 and above. And I'll tell you more about that at the end of the show. If you have listened to our show before and you like it, please go to Apple Podcasts, hit that purple button, and give us 5 stars. Just say whatever you want in the description. Say that, they don't know how to even start the show. Char's confusing everything. Whatever you want. What it does, it helps bring us up.
Hey, I heard that.
It helps bring us up in the charts so that everybody, you, your friends, your parents, everybody can find us, and they can listen to the show along with you. Now, with that being said, we're going to get into today's episode, which is a crazy, crazy episode. So grab your apple juice, grab your chocolate, and sit down and let's enjoy some love and murder. Now, you know why I said apple juice. So returning subscribers, Ky doesn't drink alcohol. Ky doesn't do any kind of drugs or anything like that. So we're grabbing apple juice today.
She's all natural.
Is delicious. And whoever doesn't think so, then I agree. I understand your opinion. I don't agree, but I understand your opinion.
Actually, it kind of mirrors champagne a little bit, because I'm saying in the sense that when you can't drink, haven't you ever been to an event and when they're not serving actual champagne, they'll serve apple juice in these cute little champagne bottles because it's very similar in the color.
Paid attention.
Well, it's just, you can fake it out and say, some people actually buy the non-alcoholic champagne, and that's what it is. It's apple juice. Yeah. It's got many
get soda,
uses.
Water on the rocks, or juice. That's what I get.
Soda or water on the... Okay.
Yes.
Did you just say water on the rocks?
Water on the rocks is my drink of choice when I'm out. No, it has to be water on the rocks.
What's the difference between ice water and water on...
Don't mess up my drink.
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to look that up.
Shaken.
Shaken, not stirred.
Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you.
Okay. Got it. Bond. James Bond. I got it.
So what I realized is that we here at Love and Murder, apparently we like geometry. Do you know why I came to that conclusion, Char?
I really have no idea.
Because today, for instance, we're talking about what we're famous for. A love triangle. Get it? Geometry, triangle. Get it?
Yeah,
Get it?
yeah. We've done quite a few of those, actually.
So we're talking about Sabrina Limon, Robert Limon, and Jonathan Hurden today. And this is, oh my God, when I tell y'all this is a doozy of a love triangle, y'all don't even know how long I was researching this. So it has twists and turns and ups and downs and backs and forth. And I'm not talking about Char's love life. So let's get into this. Sabrina was born in 1980 in Prescott, Arizona, and Robert Limon, her husband, was also born in Prescott, but in 1977. Sabrina first met Robert when she was only 18 years old, and he was 21. So he's a little bit older, not much, but a little bit. To them, it was love at first sight. You know how that goes. You see somebody who's like, hey, boy, yeah.
It's a good feeling, actually.
I never had love at first sight or even believe in love at first sight, but
It's not. It's really infatuation at first sight, but it's still a good feeling until it wears off. I'm just saying.
So after being in a relationship for a short time, they quickly moved in together, and by August of 2000, they were married. Actually, August 19th of 2000, they were married. Robert got a job with the BNSF Railroad, so that's just a railroad system like where they were, and he got a job as a mechanic. So they ended up moving to Hellendale, California, in a nice little quaint house. Now, in Hellendale, there's this small neighborhood called Silver Lakes, which is very quaint and very scenic. It's like a beautiful place. It's
It
located
sounds like it.
between, yeah, well, I'm going to post this picture to our fan page later on and y'all will be able to see it. So
That'll be
it's
fun.
between Route 66 and two man-made lakes.
The famous Route
So
66. Wow. It's not just a
and
legend.
and this area is actually so beautiful that it often attracts tourists. Can you just imagine? It's just, it's between two lakes. Like, So this is where they lived, and it was on Strawberry Lane where they stayed. I can't imagine. I used to live on a lake when I was little. I kind of remember it. I remember there was a bird sanctuary across the lake,
How
and this
nice.
expensive cockatoo flew over to us. We didn't even know it was expensive. We didn't know where it came from. It was just in our yard one day, and we made it a pet. And then one day somebody told us, "You know how expensive these things are?" And we were like, "Really?" So,
Yeah, but
anyways,
what is the point of them telling you that? Did they own it and it just found
no,
you instead?
they just knew about birds, and they knew how expensive that particular cockatoo
Oh,
was.
yeah. Or maybe
Yeah.
rare too.
Yeah, I don't know
Okay.
if it was rare. I was little, like 7. I don't remember.
Oh, you hadn't got to all the.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyways, like I said, this neighborhood, just so you could see, I got an aerial view of it. So just so you could see, I'm going to go ahead and put it in our Facebook fan page, which if you search Google or you search Facebook, just search Love and Murder fan page and it'll come up. And then you could request to join and you could see like everything from our past shows. There's stuff in there that we don't even show on our public, like our public pages. It's just in that group. So if you want to go there and see,
Yeah,
definitely
it's
search
worth
for
it
there.
to join the group too.
Yeah. So Robert and Sabrina had a seemingly perfect life. Doesn't it always start like that? They had a seemingly perfect life. Their
Yes, and they
lives
were
were
so in
filled,
love, and they were so
yeah,
young and
with their
innocent.
lives were
And
filled with parties, barbecues, boating trips, and their 2 kids, Robbie and Leanna. Like I said, Robert worked as a mechanic, and Sabrina worked part time here and there. She worked part time so she could stay home and raise her kids. So usually it was like, when I guess her kids were in school, that's when she worked. When
it's
her
like an
kids were
odd job,
home,
maybe at
she
night
was
or,
home.
or in the day. Yeah, when they get out of school, she's there for them. A lot
Exactly,
of moms do
exactly.
that. Yeah.
And from the outside looking in, this was like the kind of life that most people just dream about. This is what they want. This is what they think about when they're like, I want to grow up and get married to a great guy and, 2 kids and the picket fence and the
The
dog.
white
and,
picket fence and the dog.
yeah, I never understood the picket fence, but okay. So, and I'm a cat person. I know everybody, they're just like, oh crap, we're done with this podcast now. Please don't go. I like
Kai
dogs.
loves her cats, so she loves her cats.
Yeah, I'm just not,
Yeah.
I'm not an affectionate type of person. So I know dogs always want attention and I can't stand that. And also, I'm not a person to wake up at 3:00 in the morning while it's snowing and negative
they have to
15
take 'em
degrees up
outside.
here. I'm not doing
Come on,
that. So,
let's go out. Yeah.
so
Cats are just cozy
don't
inside. They're
judge
fine.
me. Don't cancel your subscription. Stay and listen to the story. All right. So, even though it looked like this from the outside, this is why they always say the grass is not always greener. On the inside, their marriage was not traditional at all. Sabrina and Robert were actually both obsessed with sex. And they
Okay, that sounds
started,
really normal so far for
well,
a young couple.
they'd actually started incorporating swinging, and not on a swing
Oh.
set, swinging.
Not on a swing set. I could see this going that direction immediately. I started to ask you if that's what they were going to get into, but okay,
Well,
carry on.
I
I'm
actually had a
curious to hear
question
this.
for you. Have you ever been with someone who was into swinging, or have you ever been into swinging?
Yes. So my ex-husband and I, we did lots of research. This is back in the day before internet, and it would just be magazines, like a certain magazine, a swingers magazine, and there's ads that people place. And then you meet up with a couple, from the ad. We did that. But then we both decided, we met at a bar, and I just kind of you dress real sexy and you have this whole illusion going. But for some reason, we both chickened out. It was hilarious. But but now this is many years ago in New Mexico. Now, years later, when I moved to Las Vegas, it was quite common. My friends would go pretty often. I would go sometimes, but you can go just to watch, though. I didn't want to be a participant. The men cannot go on their own to the clubs. But another time, you know what, Ky? I think that was one of my first stories. I think so. For anyone who's curious and want to hear the story, I don't remember what we called it, but it was in New York City at that crazy big dungeon restaurant, remember? And there was like lots of swingers in there. That's really what it was. You remember that one? That was the first story.
I have to remember.
The
If
mashed
it's the first
potatoes.
story, then
The first,
then
the
it's
first,
actually
the first
for
crazy story,
free
I think.
on our Patreon. So if it's the first story and if it's there, then it's actually for free on our Patreon. So go ahead and visit there.
Okay, so
But,
first or second, yeah. So
yeah,
definitely
I don't
had
remember.
various experiences, either just watching or just almost actually interacting. But I'll tell you this: it's a recipe for disaster, and I'll let you tell why.
So in 2008, 8 years after they were married, they decided to open up their marriage and began to have sexually open relationships. So they had an open marriage. They continued swinging, but they actually up-leveled. And not like Mario. They up-leveled in the sexual arena
Okay.
into orgies with other, quote, quiet couples in their neighborhood. They also began swapping partners with their friends. Yeah, I don't think I could do that. If
Okay,
I were
so-
to ever do something like this, it needs to be
Yeah.
strangers. I don't want to then invite you to the barbecue.
That's what I was gonna say because you're mowing your lawn.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave. Are you still throbbing from last night? And then Martha bakes cookies, for the holidays. Hi, we just thought we'd bring over some fresh chocolate chip cookies. Like, I can't be your neighbor and look
No.
at you in the neighborly way anymore. I know really, I would say that's too close to home.
It would have
you're gonna
to
do your dirty business,
definitely
do it
be
somewhere else.
strangers. No friends, no neighbors,
Right.
not even somebody that lived in my city because I don't want to run into you at the supermarket, for instance.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. But, I mean, this is what they wanted to do. So, initially,
It's all dangerous.
they were both involved with another couple named Dale and Nicole Smith. After some time, though, Sabrina slowly began to become emotionally involved with the husband, Dale. Now, around this time, Dale and Nicole were already in a somewhat rocky relationship. And because of all of this, it actually ended up getting worse.
Of course.
Worth?
Well,
mean,
there was no worth left because it got
worse.
worse.
Sorry, listeners. I have a lisp, and sometimes the S's and the TH's gets to me. But anyways, it ended up getting worse. So we can all figure out why this is happening. If you already have a rocky relationship, you're already not getting along, maybe swapping partners is not the way to go.
Not the best idea.
No. So when Dale began to get emotionally invested in Sabrina, he thought of this as something new, a hope for a new beginning, someone he could depend on, someone he could confide in. So to him, being with Sabrina wasn't just about sex. It was so much more than that. Now, Robert, remember Sabrina's husband, noticed that Sabrina and Dale had gotten close. So he asked Sabrina to stop dealing with Dale. And Sabrina was like, all right. She agreed and she stopped. Poor Dale. Dale was like really into it. He
Right.
was like, no.
He was just left hanging. No pun intended.
Now, before I move on, I want to give a brief PSA. Public service announcement. Do not, I repeat, do not get in relationships with married people. Number one, you don't want to be the one responsible for breaking up a marriage. Come on now. You don't want to be that person.
Yeah, that's pretty dirty. Yeah.
Number two, more times than not, the person will not leave their marriage for you. N-O-T, not.
They'll promise, and it's not going to happen. Very rarely.
And number three, you're only going to be hurting yourself in the end. So
I agree.
that is my advice. This is Ky's advice to y'all. Don't get into a marriage or into a relationship with married people.
And I actually can definitely confirm that. It's all wrong. The same marriage that I told you about, because I've only been married once, although we didn't do the swinging thing, some years later, we had an open, it was probably 10 years later, because we were married almost 20 years. We actually kind of moved into an open relationship, which we never talked about it. But he would, imagine my ex-husband's telling me about this chick that he banged and so that he met at this place or that place.
Nope.
Yeah, sends me pictures. And I'm like not saying a whole lot. Well, see, I knew what I was doing
You gonna
too.
come home
So I was
to
like,
a
okay,
golf club
well,
to the head.
no, but see, what I'm saying is, well, first of all, there was a distance situation because I lived in New York and he still lived in Pittsburgh,
I don't
Pennsylvania.
care if you lived in Texas and I lived in Alaska. We're married, and no, if this is what we agreed on an open relationship, I don't want to know anything about it. Let's just, pretend we're still the same. I don't want to know about anybody you're talking to. I damn sure don't want pictures. No.
Yeah, I don't know. He was
No.
famous for the pictures. I'm not sure what that was about. I was like, why do you keep showing me pictures? But we never talked about it. So that's the thing. So even if people make this decision, if they do, well, obviously many people do, you still have to have communication and you have to have boundaries. And when you don't have either one of those things, you're already trailing on very thin trailing. You're already walking on thin ice when you agree to open up your relationship to these types of experiences and explorative experiences. But nevertheless, if you don't talk about it and come to some agreement and understanding, it leads to divorce. That's one reason that I did divorce, because we never talked about that. Do you see what I mean? I'm just getting pictures and stories and excitement on his end. And I'm
my
like, but
God.
you didn't tell me you were going to do that.
That's
Crazy.
so insane. So y'all weren't
It
talking
is.
about it. He was just like, hey, look at this girl I banged yesterday. She's
Yeah, that's
hot,
what he
isn't
did.
she?"
He's like, Isn't her titties are so beautiful, aren't you? Did you notice? Did you see her butt? Did you see her bum this and that? I'm like, she's a
it
great
would be
kisser. Like, are you
It would be
serious?
like in this episode of Love and
I know.
Murder. There's a reason why Ky isn't here today. So
Yeah,
Nope.
another disclaimer.
yeah, right.
She'll be on the front page of the paper, though. Look out for it. Yeah, so you guys just don't play around with your marriage. Marriage is a serious thing. If you want to do all of that immaturity and disrespect, do it among people that you don't have a commitment to. That's the best thing I could say. There's my PSA.
So after all
Yeah.
of this, she left Dale. They stopped swinging with that couple. Robert and Sabrina got together with an even bigger group of swingers because that's the way to do it. And they even started
go
going on
big.
adult-only vacations with them. So as you can imagine, as they started having more people in their sex lives, they
More
also
complications.
started bringing in more alcohol as well. More sex, alcohol, more complications. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people claim to use alcohol to help them loosen up and help them do things that they wouldn't normally do, right?
True.
Do you think this is the case as to why the increase in alcohol in correlation to them having more sex partners?
Absolutely, Kai. I mean, it only makes sense.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, more sex partners, more swinging, adult-only vacations, more alcohol. This is what was going on at this time. Now, my question is...
It impairs your judgment. So that's the basis right there. The foundation for everything going terribly wrong.
My question, though, is, as I'm thinking about this, they're having, an amazing time that... Not that I wish I could have, but I wish I could go on
Amazing?
all
Is that
these
how you
vacations.
describe it?
Well,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
what I'm
that
saying,
part.
all these vacations and just being around
Yeah.
other adults, and where in the world are their kids? I have
The children.
one, and I can't
Who's
even
with
do
the
that.
children?
Yeah, I'm like, where are
Right.
the children?
Yeah, maybe one of the swinging neighbors are watching the kids. While they're away.
Maybe. I just literally thought about that during all the research and everything. I wasn't even thinking about that. I literally just wait, where are the kids?
I actually did think of it, but you hadn't mentioned anything specific about there being neglect. So I thought, well, maybe their, mom is watching the kids. I mean, because they're going
nobody
away a
ever
lot.
said they neglected their children. So
Right. So that
yeah,
wasn't an issue.
Maybe that's
per
when
se.
they just went when they were at their grandparents. Maybe they just went to their grandparents once or twice a month. I don't know.
Well, apparently they worked it out to where they were very available to be able to have this type of lifestyle and be
Dude,
consistent with it. So.
In that aspect, I need to know because I want adult only vacations minus the swinging, but I want adult only vacations.
Yeah,
Only-
I've always thought that would be fun too.
yeah.
Just like-minded, couples, just like-minded. That's it. In the sense that you're mature, you enjoy one of those company. The ladies do their thing, go to the spa, this or that, and hang out, and then the guys have their. I mean, it just seems like a nice
tell
bonding.
you right now, I'll be hanging around the men.
Friendship. You.
Because y'all want to go to the spa and talk about whatever and pillow fights.
Talk about
and
men.
Do your nails. That is totally not me. The guys are going to want to jump into pool, cannonball, have fun, play pool.
And there's
That's
Ky right
totally
along with
me. Exactly. So anyways, around this same time, Robert had started showing signs that he'd become addicted to porn. It wasn't enough.
No.
That wasn't enough.
Really?
Oh
Can you
my
imagine?
Having sex with like 50 people in 1 month was not enough for you?
It'll make you think about porn. You're making porn. That's what you're doing. It wasn't enough.
Again, let me point this out. This is the testimony of one person. So I don't want to offend anybody's family because this is just coming. You know how you have this person's story, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. So right now we only have one person's side of the story.
One person.
So yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going off of one person's side of the story. So this might not be accurate. Just letting y'all know. So he'd started spending less time with Sabrina, giving her less sex, and was always online watching porn. This made her feel neglected and angry. She said she didn't even want this open marriage lifestyle. She didn't want to have sex with anyone but her husband. She just did this to appease Robert and to keep her family together. So to her, she did all of this for him. And this is how he repaid her. Like you're now getting addicted to porn, really? When summer was over in 2012 and her kids went back to school in August, Sabrina started working at Costco in Victorville, part-time. While she was working there, she worked with independent contractors to help them find what they needed. And she also set up tables and handed out samples and did all of this kind of stuff. One day, while she was at work, she met a hot, young, religious firefighter. Yeah.
Wow.
Named Jonathan Hearn. Jonathan was born in 1990 in Hesperia, California, to Mike and Carol Hearn. Jonathan was described as a sheltered and very calm guy. So, wow, the complete opposite of her. He grew up in a religious household, went to private school, and knew from since he was little that he wanted to grow up and become a paramedic. So when he graduated from high school, he worked really hard, passed all the necessary exams, and became a paramedic at the earliest age he possibly could. Like that job was his dream, and that's all he had his sights set on.
He was determined, at a young age to do it.
But even with all of that going on, and the fact that, for him to be a firefighter, he had to be hot, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, even though he had all of that going on, he'd actually never had a steady girlfriend before and had never been in a real relationship. So he's 10 years younger than Sabrina, and she was 32 years old when they met. So she's 32. We're kind of like, we just hit our 30s trying to figure out, are we still as hot as when we were 20? And this 22-year-old firefighter comes walking into Costco and looks at you. Okay.
Yeah.
So Jonathan was working his dream job as a paramedic in San Bernardino Fire Department. One of his duties at the fire department was to do the firehouse's grocery shopping. While he was out doing that, on this particular day, he ran into Sabrina. They had a conversation about, what he was shopping for. And Sabrina told him that she had a friend who was also a firefighter, and his name was Jason. And Jonathan was like, I don't know their accent, so we're just going to do something. Jonathan was like, oh, Jason, I know him. So now they realized they had something in common.
Yeah.
In Jonathan's opinion, Sabrina was very friendly and very nice, someone he would definitely remember. So the second time they met, which was just him basically running into her in Costco again, she remembered his name and they ended up speaking more. Of course she remembered his name. She remembered his name. You hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
So they ended up
Crazy.
speaking more. And by the third time he was in Costco, now to me, this is like getting too coincidental. You ran into her again the third time you came to Costco. Oops, my bad. I'm so
but
sorry.
he does regular shopping. I'm trying to figure out, maybe she does regular shopping, but we know that he'll be there because that's his job. That's one of the jobs he does for
But
the
it's like you
firehouse.
have to go find a person. I go to this grocery store all the time. I see the same people and I don't go to them. Like I pass them. I may say, hey, and keep going about my business. You literally have to go find a person and sit down and have a conversation with them. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So anyway, by the third time he was in Costco, Jonathan got her phone number because he saw that she wasn't wearing a wedding ring and she hadn't said anything in the first two times that they had met. She hadn't said anything about her being married. So naturally, to anybody else, that would mean she was single, right? And then on top of that, he asked for her number and she gave it to him. So all signs pointed to she's single.
Yeah, she's not committed to anyone.
Exactly.
Not married. That's not, for sure, not married. I wouldn't think that. But you don't have these conversations at Costco. So what does he mean? The second time or so that he saw her, it never
usually
came
if
up.
a woman is really invested in her husband and a guy is talking to her, maybe by the second time this guy found her and is again talking to her, she's going to worm the word marriage,
especially if you
husband,
can
kids.
tell they're flirting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's going to worm it in there some way. So no. Anyways, after this, the two began talking and texting more and more. Not the habit of a married woman. They flirted and talked and did everything people in a new relationship would do. So to Jonathan, he said Sabrina had a very magnetic personality and immediately stood out to him. Soon, an emotional connection started forming, and Sabrina felt that she needed to come clean with Jonathan. So one day she called him and kind of confessed that, hey, Jonathan, I've been talking to you for a while and I just want to tell you something. So, I'm just a little bit married, just a tiny bit
Just
married.
a tiny, itsy bitsy bit married.
So Jonathan was kind of surprised and told her that, I kind of didn't know you were married because, well, where's the ring? I've never seen you wear a ring. So she said, yeah, actually, the truth about that is because of the type of work I do, I'm always like, digging in stuff, putting stuff together and everything so I don't really wear my ring to work. So that's why you didn't see me with a ring. So Jonathan was like really disappointed because he thought he had found somebody special. And he just, being like this wholesome guy that he was raised to be, he didn't want to date a married woman. So they agreed to just be friends. But that didn't last that long. They continued flirting, calling, and texting each other. And eventually their relationship continued and ended up becoming a romantic one. Now, this brings me to a hot button question. And you already know what I'm going to ask. Do you think men and women could be friends?
No.
I don't think so. And I know people are screaming at us right now.
Yeah, they are. But come on, there's too much temptation.
There is.
And someone's going to be more attracted to you.
Even
whether you say you're not, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Even if you as a woman, because usually, for some reason, we're the ones who are not attracted to the guy.
I know. That's what I'm like really serious. I'm really not attracted to you like that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
But
the guy
even
is.
if you're not attracted to the guy guy is attracted to you. He's not going to tell you because he wants to be there for you. And,
as a friend. And
did Robert hurt you? Did Jonathan do something today?
They're
I
there
would
now.
never do that to you. Look.
Yes.
I know.
You can depend on me. I'm here for you.
Yeah. I know
I would
y'all.
never
are going to argue with me and say no, but I'm telling you, it's either the man, which it usually is, or the woman who's going to have feelings. If not both, and then y'all just don't talk about it so nothing happens. And more times than not, usually if a guy and a girl, I'm not saying 100% of the time, but usually if a guy and a girl are friends, they've had sex at some point in time and then went back to being friends. So.
And they're announcing to everyone we're just friends, but there was something there. There was something more, even if it's not anymore. And someone is fantasizing about you naked. So just know that. Someone is. One out of the two of you, there's two people in this equation. So out of the two, someone out of those two is fantasizing about someone being naked. Period. Even if they don't talk about it.
But I know y'all are yelling at us right now. I know y'all are turning up your nose.
Have a healthy friendship. Like, that's not healthy. Of course they are.
If you don't agree with us, just let us know. Let us know in the comments below, or go to our social media and let us know.
Yes. And your experiences, share your stories.
Yeah, share your stories.
I'm sure you guys have them.
Tell us, like, convince us in Love and Murder Court. Convince us that men and women can be friends, because I mean, we could be convinced. We're not just saying, no, this is how it is.
They can pose.
You
pose
can
as the
definitely
jury, because
convince
we are
us.
not believing this.
We don't agree, but defend your position. You're the defense. We're the prosecution. We're looking to hear what you have to say in Love and Murder Court, and it's in session.
It's very much in session. Yes.
All right. So one night after they'd spent some time together talking and just, being romantic and lovey-lovey. Oh, I love you. Jonathan kind of told Sabrina that he was worried that their relationship would never actually work, saying that he, quote, didn't see it leading into anything good. Sabrina asked if, all right, well, I understand. I'm still married. I have my kids. How do they find all this time? I'm just baffled.
Yeah. I mean, they're on the same earth we are, and we have 24 hours and 7 days a week. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm really wondering about that too. Like some portal that they go into and come back out.
I'm
back
so
on Earth.
Busy. I have one child.
Right.
And I have to carve out time for my child. I have to make sure I give time to my husband. And then everything, how do they have 2 children, jobs and everything? How do they find time? She's probably still swinging with her husband because she has to keep up appearances. And now she has a
and then
boyfriend
taking off of work to
that.
do these vacations. Then you have a boyfriend. I don't see how that works.
I don't see where they're getting the time. I need to know. Oh my God. But anyways, so she's like, yeah, I understand. I have a husband, my kids and everything like that. But I really like you. You're so cool. Maybe we could try again being friends. So Jonathan was like, yeah, you're so awesome. You like the same things I like. I like talking to you and everything. So yeah, let's definitely be friends. We are going to make this work, and we're going to make it work as friends. So they tried this again. And again, their relationship started getting flirtatious, and it continued on to the point that by December 2012, they were engaged in a full-blown affair. So this time, they're having sex and everything.
Yeah, it's just the full relationship. Do you see why I'm not sure about marriage again? Because look at what happens. People just decide they're more into someone else for a lot of reasons. It's not just sex. You see, they started out intellectually. They liked the things that they would talk about together. They had the same interests. Of course, there's an attraction there. But do you see that? They can laugh together, and they felt like they had a friendship.
But that's why you don't want to get married again?
No, I'm saying no, I absolutely do. But I'm saying sometimes I'm kind of glad that I'm still somewhat single, because it's like, look at what happens when you say that you want to spend the rest of your life with someone. It's so easy for the other person to get bored or to decide you're not enough for them.
But again, lack of communication, not being with someone who is on the same page as you, like, it just depends on who you choose. So if you choose someone who's like, you can tell when someone's not really into a marriage. And according to Sabrina, according to what she's saying, Robert wasn't really into their marriage. Again, like I said, according to Sabrina, Robert wasn't really into their marriage. So if you have someone like that, then he's
Well, he
not,
was into their marriage. He just didn't. He just wanted other people
according
into it.
to her. Shut up.
That was my angle. You
And
almost
then
went over your head.
from her side, and this is definite because this is her story. So from her side, she definitely wasn't into the marriage because she allowed somebody else in, and she allowed herself to
Okay.
catch feelings for somebody else. So
That's fair to say.
for you to have a good marriage, both of y'all have to be all in. Both of y'all have to make it work. There has to be definite communication. Like even if, like for instance, one time I think my husband was working a lot, and I told him, like after a while, I was like, I'm literally starting to think about other dudes, so we need to work on
You
this.
literally said that?
Of course,
You said that?
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I
And
don't know if I'm that
said,
brave
and-
to
I
say
mean,
that to
obviously,
anyone.
I didn't say it that crass, but
Okay.
I was more
That's what I
gentle
was
with
picturing.
it, and I talked to
Okay.
him about what was on my mind and everything like that, and then he realized that he was like more like because of the stress of work, he was not really giving me attention, and so then we had to fix that rift. But I talked to him
Okay.
about it, and that's where a lot of people fail. They're like, they start thinking about other dudes, and then they just go with it, and they think that if they tell their significant other, they think about dudes or girls, but they think if they tell their significant other that the significant other is going to get mad and it's not going to go anywhere, but
Yeah.
you didn't even give it a try. Like,
No,
you don't
you're right. That's what
know.
I just said about communication with my situation. That's the problem. That was everything. You don't have that, you have nothing.
Yeah,
You have to
I
have
mean,
communication
like
and
even
trust.
guys who think about cheating, for instance, because I don't
Yeah.
know, you're too bored with the sex life. Like, did you even talk to your girl? Like, say, hey, let's spice it up with
Let's
outfits.
try this.
Put
Let's
on
try
a wig
that.
and look
Yeah.
like somebody else for a second, like just
Yeah.
for one
And
day.
call
or
her
something.
Sheila.
Did you ever try that or ask or no? You didn't. So
No,
you know what I'm
no.
saying. It has to
always
be
a secret.
communication. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
That's good advice, Kai.
oh,
That
thank
was
you,
really good
thank you
advice.
so
Hope someone
much.
is really absorbing that out there. Hope you guys are listening because it's good advice.
So this affair would actually be the beginning of a 2-year affair. Anyway, in the meantime, Miss Sabrina wanted to maintain her image of a perfect marriage, a perfect wife, and a perfect family. So she hid her affair from the town. Even though they were 10 years apart, Jonathan, being like 22, saw a future
Being
with Sabrina.
very young.
And Sabrina saw herself with him too, not her husband. To Jonathan, Sabrina was his first love and his first girlfriend. So remember that PSA I said above? Listen to
Yes.
that, people. But 3 to 4 months into the relationship, Jonathan called their mutual friend, Jason, and asked for Robert's phone number. You remember Robert, Sabrina's husband, Robert? Yeah, that Robert. So Jonathan asked Jason for Robert's phone number, and Robert confronted Jason, asking if there was a relationship going on with him and Sabrina. And Jonathan was like, no, no, come on, guys.
Of course
Nothing like
not.
that. There's nothing going on with Sabrina. And Jason was like, well, I won't give you his number, but I will give him your number and have him call you. And that's just what he did. So in around March or April of 2013, Robert called Jonathan while at Jason's house to confront him about his affair with Sabrina. So I don't think Jason bought that no story. He was like, look,
I don't think so.
you
No.
better check this dude. So yeah, Robert called Jonathan while he was at Jason's house. So they're all in the mix to be like, what's up with you and my wife? And Jonathan spoke with Robert. And while he never actually confessed to a full-blown sexual affair, he did admit to Robert that, they were very flirtatious with each other. And, I'm just, it hasn't gone anywhere, but I'm just flirting with your wife. She's like really not. Oh my God, I can't imagine. I'm just imagining somebody telling me I was just flirting with your husband. That would be just as bad as saying I had sex with your husband. Don't say that to my face. Please say it over the phone.
So casually, too.
And
it's not
not
even an apology
within driving distance. Please.
Right.
So, now I have a question. Do you think having strong emotions for someone who's in a relationship is considered cheating?
Yes.
Of course. Of course.
It's emotional cheating.
Of course. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say emotional cheating, physical cheating. It's just all cheating, period. Don't.
Okay.
Because, somebody could be like, well, it was just emotional cheating and make it sound better than it is. No, it's all cheating. It's just cheating. So.
Well, I'm not saying just, though.
No, I'm not saying you,
I'm just
but I'm
giving a
saying
specific
someone
category,
else could use that and be like, well, it's just emotional cheating. I didn't do anything physical. And just
people literally have feelings. I mean, they have feelings. Even if you're long distance, you can have phone sex, what they used to call cyber sex, if you're both like on the computer or a cell or whatever. But you can still and you don't even have to do that. You can fall in love for real with someone that you haven't even met. You're talking to them on the phone. It's still cheating. Because you're developing a relationship one way or the other. It's a relationship.
You could definitely have like a long distance relationship, so it's still a relationship.
Then it's still the same thing.
So back to the story. So Jonathan is saying no, but little did he know, Robert had already seen the conversations between them. And the conversation showed that there was a serious emotional affair going on. So he already knew about that part. So I don't think he knew about the sexual. He already knew about the emotional part. So Jonathan was like, well, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have disrespected you. I shouldn't have disrespected your marriage. I apologize. And while Robert and Jonathan were having a conversation, another thing that Jonathan wasn't aware of was that Sabrina was right there listening to the entire thing.
No.
Good Lord.
No, say it ain't so. That's terrible.
Yep. So when Robert got off the phone, he broke Sabrina's phone, and Sabrina was just like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. I regret my lapse in judgment. I'm so sorry. I promise I'll never see Jonathan again. And then Robert was like, okay, I accept your apology.
If you pinky swear.
I know we have an open relationship, but you kind of got to, this open relationship is with us, not with just you and one other person. It's us going to see other people. So, I forgive you. Maybe you were just like confused about the rules of an open relationship. So it's cool. We have our family. We have our children. Let's get back to how stuff was. And Sabrina
you
was
don't blame him just a little bit, her husband just a little bit, because it's not really totally fair to get upset with me when this was your idea. Yes, I bent the rules a little bit. Maybe they weren't so clear. But I don't think he has a right to totally say that she was just breaking every law.
No. Being
to man.
swingers and having a complete relationship with somebody else, it's two completely different things.
No, but that's two different things, Ky. Having an open relationship has its own rules. You can have an open relationship and not be a swinger.
But how do you know they didn't have their rules about the open marriage? Like, you cannot
even if you do, it doesn't matter. It's still wrong.
Notice they pointed out only the emotional affair. So maybe that was part of their rules, which was do not get emotionally involved. Exactly. So you don't know, again, she didn't lay out what the rules of their open relationship, open marriage and everything was. So maybe she was breaking the rules. But either way, he forgave her and, they moved on. So then my question is, how long do you think that lasted?
6 months.
Soon as Robert started letting his guard down again, Sabrina was off to the races talking to Jonathan again.
Of course.
Yep. Once
she missed him. They developed a relationship.
Of course.
I mean, what do? Just turn it off like a light switch? I don't think so.
She did that for Dale. Remember?
But I don't think she was as emotionally vested into Dale. I don't know.
So
maybe not.
One time Sabrina was talking to Jonathan and she told him that Robert was like very controlling and he exploited her. And even though they were married, she felt that Robert was willing to pass her off to any guy. This is what she said.
Ooh.
She said that it was clear that he wasn't worried about the health of their marriage and always avoided the reality of their relationship. What the hell does that even mean?
That means that he didn't care, so that's why I don't understand why it mattered to him.
Why don't you just come out and say, hey, he don't care? Like, why would you go about it with like...
Because he's being a jerk. It's a narcissistic moment.
Again.
It's about him. It's
According
about him.
to her.
Okay,
so she because you know, when you're cheating, you always have, the cheater always has some kind of story about why they're cheating, instead of just, I'll leave and find somebody else.
I did it.
There's always a story about why they're a cheater, and it's never their fault. Never. So anyway, she
Very
told
selfish.
Jonathan that Robert was very focused in his own interests and not the interests of his kids or his family. So my thing is, if this was all true, what she was saying, would he have even wasted his time confronting Jonathan then?
It's almost like he was really hurt and really upset.
But I'm saying,
really
if
wanted
she
to
was
fight for
like,
the marriage,
if it was up to what she was saying, he exploited her. He was willing to pass her off to any guy. He wasn't worried about
it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered so
he
much
wouldn't
to
have
him.
confronted Jonathan.
It's like, just another guy.
Exactly.
Just another guy.
Screw it. Fine. I could sit
not
here
one
and
that I
watch my
hooked you up
porn
with,
now.
but go for it. Yeah, exactly.
So that's why her story doesn't make any sense. And if it was Jonathan, I would have been like, well, why did he confront me then? He wouldn't have cared either way. But, love.
That's not love.
I'm saying on Jonathan's part, love. Love makes you do stupid things.
It does.
So anyways, Robert and Jonathan's conversation happened in April of 2013. And by February 14th, 2014, Sabrina and Jonathan started talking about like they can get married because they were destined to be together. That's how long. So I don't know, between the conversation between Robert and Jonathan when they went back to talking, it couldn't have been that long. But like not quite a year later, Sabrina and Jonathan were like talking about getting married, even though she's a married woman. Good Lord. So
living in a fantasy world, that's just really twisted.
Yeah, so the day they're talking sweet nothings to each other, and you're my destiny, and we should be able to get married and everything like that. Oh wait, yeah, that's right. Also on that day, they planned to have Robert killed because our system of law has made no other way to get out of a marriage. No possible way to leave a marriage at all. I cannot think of one other way to leave a marriage with our system of laws. Can you? No?
There was one reason as to why a judge would, grant divorce and say that yes, you can have this divorce because you should. Okay, for example, I thought that in some states, I guess maybe infidelity, maybe. And you can if you can prove it.
No, my thing is,
then maybe you can get out of it.
That's my whole point. They want to kill Robert because they want to get married. And I'm like, is there no system of laws that can get you out of a marriage? Like, none. I think you just missed the joke. Went over her head.
Yeah, it did go over my head, but that's always a surefire way to get out of it. And it's the dumbest way to do it, too. It's just... And so for some reason that happens so often, people think, oh, I know, I'll just kill my husband. Like, why is it the first thing that comes to mind?
It's not the first thing that comes to my mind, but okay.
No.
I'm just leaving.
No,
bye.
For a lot of people, I mean, seriously, that's a pandemic in itself. This is what happens. You can't stand your husband anymore. You want to be with your lover, and there's no other way to do it. You got to get rid of some. He's in the way. This equation is not adding up anymore. There's a third party here. It's not adding up. I know what we can do. We'll just get rid of him, and we'll live happily ever after. You see,
you know what I do when I can't stand people anymore? I stop talking to them. Good Lord. So,
oh, wow. Yeah.
So then they started talking about how they would go about killing Robert. Because, when somebody says, let's kill another person, the first thing you do is start talking about how. Instead of saying, are you freaking crazy?
Yeah.
No.
Do you realize we can go to prison the rest of our lives?
Oh, good Lord.
Or maybe be executed. Like, nobody's thinking of these things.
Nothing. They think they could all get away with it. Anyways.
Of course.
So they
of course.
started talking about how they're going to go about killing Robert, and they settled on poisoning him. I know you're wondering, why poison? Well, they have a brilliant answer for that. They said it was because it would reduce the likelihood of a criminal investigation. Now, I don't know what world they're living in, but in the world that I live in, that's going to increase the likelihood of a criminal investigation.
Exactly. Because of all the question marks. Like, wait a minute.
They're going to do an
it's
autopsy.
Not hard for them to pin that down, though. Well, yeah, that's the first thing. The coroner does that. But the thing is, these days, the way the forensic system is it's complex, but it's also, when you think about it, it's like, very high tech. So not a lot gets past. It gets past those tests. There's just this isn't carbon dating back in the day, like say in the 70s or the 80s.
Yeah.
They can easily tell now.
He died of exposure.
Traces of this and traces of that. And yeah, they can tell. I mean.
Yeah. Anyway, Sabrina told Jonathan that Robert had a rare medical condition that presented some symptoms that might mimic like being poisoned. And his common stomach issues would mask those symptoms. Being his wife, Sabrina.
The acids.
Yeah, being his wife, Sabrina knew what kind of foods would give her husband these symptoms. So she told Jonathan that a specific wrap in Costco, wrap like a little burrito.
Yeah, the tortilla.
Yeah, exactly. And banana pudding would be potential foods to put the poison in. She said banana pudding with vanilla wafers because this was with Robert's favorite snack.
One of his favorites.
What an asshole.
Yes.
Let me give him his favorite snack and just a little bit of poison in it. Ugh.
Well, you get a last meal when you're on death row, so what's the difference?
The difference is it's not my wife you just don't get to request
it. Right. You can request it on death row.
So Jonathan, the second asshole in this story, said sure and went shopping. He used a prepaid credit card to transfer funds to a PayPal account because he's like, I'm James Bond. They're never going to catch me. I'm going to use this prepaid card. I'm going to transfer some money to PayPal. Untraceable. So he could buy arsenic trioxide. Now, according to medlineplus.gov, arsenic trioxide is used to treat leukemia, and leukemia is cancer of the white blood cells. This drug can cause, quote, a serious or life-threatening group of symptoms called APL differentiation syndrome. Arsenic trioxide may cause QT prolongation, which means the heart muscles take longer to recharge between beats due to an electrical disturbance, which can cause serious or life-threatening heart rhythm problems. Arsenic trioxide injection may cause, I don't know how to say this word, may cause encephalopathy, which is confusion, memory problems, and other difficulties caused by abnormal brain function, unquote. This is what they wanted to poison Robert with. In trying to purchase the arsenic trioxide, Jonathan ran into issues with most of the suppliers requiring a background check. But he was very persistent. And after much research, one supplier on the internet didn't require this, and he was able to purchase the drug. Tisk to that supplier, by the way, if you're listening to this.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure after the trial, they fixed that.
Now, I'm sure he was let go, lost his license or whatever.
Being the upstanding man that Jonathan was, he had the poison delivered to his grandparents' art studio.
Why drag the poor grandparents into this? What did they ever do to you?
Other than raise him and be good
such
grandparents?
A coward. Right.
But James Bond over here, they can't track it back to him.
Yeah.
So.
No, of course not. 007.
Yeah.
No.
He then researched
that would never happen.
How much poison was necessary to adequately poison a man of Robert's size. On one of his days off, he tested the dose and experimented the weight by dose ratio by putting it in some meat and feeding it, and feeding it to a neighbor's dog. Don't
To see if he dies.
don't bring the pets in this. They ain't did
I mean, now
nothing.
the
You
dogs
bringing
are
the
being
grandparents
tortured.
in this. You're bringing somebody else pets in this. Like, are you serious right now, Jonathan? So, although the test
That's
batch
really low.
didn't work on the dog, so the dog's still alive. A few days after that, Jonathan prepared a batch to give to Robert, knowing that he would be going to work. He put some of it in the banana pudding, like Sabrina told him, and jumped in his car and delivered it to Sabrina's house. Then she put the pudding in Robert's lunch for the next day. However, they started to get cold feet and become paranoid. They started thinking that with everything they were doing, they were going to be tracked. They were going to get tracked through their
Yeah,
cell
and get
phones
caught. Yes.
and everything like that. And so they decided to call Robert to tell him to, just don't eat it. Now, I wonder what Sabrina said, because
How do you do that without sounding suspicious?
well, that's what I'm saying. She was the one who called in, because it wasn't Jonathan. It couldn't have been Jonathan
No,
who
of
called
course
in.
not.
So it
No.
was Sabrina who called. So I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking. Hey, honey. Yeah. Remember the pudding I put in your lunch today? Oh, funny story. Don't eat it because it's I mean, it's bad. It's, it's just, it went bad. Yeah. Love you too, honey. See
Yeah.
you tonight. So that's what I'm thinking was said. So what was actually said was that, kind of close to what I thought. The bananas had gone bad and that he shouldn't eat the pudding. So that's kind of what I already thought.
That's
was
not
said.
a reason not to eat banana pudding. The bananas only last less than 48 hours anyway.
You could literally
they start going
smell
bad
when
immediately.
bananas have gone bad. So if your banana
Yeah,
pudding
but it's
smells,
not going to be a reason to. I don't know.
if your banana pudding smells banana-y, then you're fine. Now, if it smells of spoiled banana, you cannot mistaken those two scents. One smells
But
of
that's
like,
not. I don't think that's what she means. I think she means because they start to turn really brown, and some people think that's a problem, but it's really not.
it's not. I
It
mean, you
doesn't-
could
the
bake like banana bread with the brown.
Yeah, and
bananas
it's gonna-
stuff like that.
brown, yeah.
Banana fritters, banana pancakes, stuff like that. Banana, what is it called? Banana chocolate chip muffins. Oh, so good. But
You must
anyways,
be having a flashback. Are you hungry, Kai?
I'm freaking starving.
She's
Y'all,
starving.
we are
guys.
recording on the wrong day at the wrong
Yes,
time.
again.
I am
At the wrong
so
time.
sleepy.
It's quite late where she is.
I'm tired. I'm hungry. Anyways, so yeah. So he didn't eat it. He's like, oh, my wife made this for me. It's bad. Maybe another batch, honey. Thanks for stopping me. So after this, Jonathan and Sabrina agreed that they won't use the poison plan. And instead, Jonathan got Sabrina a burner phone because, 007. And
Yes,
he was
there he
like, I
goes
just want to
with all
talk
his
to you
brilliance.
without being traced. Now, that didn't stop them from planning. They didn't think, let's start being normal human beings. No.
And let's just stop this entire
Yeah, no. They decided to plan
charade.
some more.
It's- yeah.
They realized then that, dumb me, poisoning wouldn't have been the best way to murder Robert, because after Jonathan thought it over, that's the first thing police would think to look at a paramedic for, because they'd be like, you know what? You would poison someone. You have all access to all these poisons, and you know which one to use so that it passes through the system. So he was like, that's the first thing a cop would think if they looked at me. So instead of being like, you know what, this is stupid, let's just stop this.
Just let's forget
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
They decided to come up with an alternative way in which the killing Robert wouldn't be traced back to them. So after careful thought and weeks of planning, Jonathan came up with a brilliant plan that couldn't possibly be linked back to him and Sabrina. So
What was that?
what he did,
I'm so
right?
curious.
He sat down. He had all the planning, the papers, the spy gear. He bought the pen that turned into a knife, the lipstick that turned into a grappling hook. He had all of this laid out, and he had the plan, and it was so brilliant. So everybody, come closer, listen. This plan,
It's
foolproof,
foolproof.
will not be traced back to them at all. Are y'all ready? Ready? Char, you
where's
ready?
our drum roll we needed?
Everybody's
Yeah,
ready
I
for
can't wait
this
to hear
plan.
this. Yeah.
Okay. Here is the foolproof, smart, amazing plan that it took them weeks and weeks to plan out and just make sure it's never, ever going to be traced back to them. All right. What they thought of was he was just going to walk up to Robert and blow him away. He's just going to shoot him.
Oh no, you guys don't think we're laughing at the fact of how it happened, but it just seems so ridiculous. That's really extreme.
I mean,
what kind of gun did he have? Does it
definitely,
say?
like, what could go wrong with that? I mean,
Right,
nobody
what
could
poss-
trace back
just
the bullets.
guts and blood everywhere.
Nobody could
Yeah.
trace back the blood splatter. Nobody
No.
would hear the gunshot.
There's no fingerprints on the
no
gun.
fingerprints on the gun. No registration on the gun. There's no way
Right.
it
There's
can be traced
no
back
way.
to you at all. Oh my God. If only criminals were as smart as Jonathan.
Yes, if only America's dumbest criminals. We warned you.
So Sabrina, being as brilliant as Jonathan,
Yes, she is. Mhm.
decided to go along with it and gave
course.
Jonathan a detailed layout of Robert's work and his schedule. She made sure she paid special attention to security cameras and the security detail at Robert's job. Regular Ocean 11 in here. Good Lord. Now, on the morning of August 17th, 2014, Jonathan left for the fire station. Jonathan left his job at the fire station. He went to Walmart to buy more ammo, and then he went home. There, he put adhesive flashing on his motorcycle. So what this does, it changes the color of a vehicle, I guess. So he put it just on certain parts of his motorcycle. So like how a motorcycle would be blue, but then it has like red stripes or whatever. So instead of it being
it'll be
blue
hard- it'll
with
be
red
hard to
stripes,
tell.
right? He made it
Yeah,
blue
or
with
be
like
the wrong
green
color.
stripes or whatever like that.
Yeah.
So he spent the afternoon doing that. Then he got 2 pre-packed backpacks. So basically he was ready for this. He got a mask that looked like an old man. And then he put on his murder clothes, which was a long sleeve shirt and dark baggy pants, which is basically not how he dresses at all.
Right.
He also designed a makeshift silencer out of a barrel of a mag light. Now, according to Bakersfield.com, this is what Jonathan said. Quote, he said he drilled end caps to fit the caliber of the bullet he planned to use and glued freeze plugs inside the barrel to muffle the gun sound. Jonathan later testified that the firearm was extremely quiet, probably no louder than a pneumatic nail gun that you'd use for carpentry. So basically, when you have those nail guns and it's just like that.
It's just a quick.
So
sound.
instead of a loud bang that a gun might make, it was just like this. So he did all of this. Then he went ahead and drove to the rail yard where Robert was working. When he got there, and by this time it's the early evening, so he had gotten off of work in the morning.
But aren't there cameras? I mean, they really didn't think this through.
Well, remember I
It
said
said-
she paid special attention to the cameras and the security details, so she was
Okay.
telling him where everything was.
Okay.
So when he got there, he saw Robert was leaving. So Robert was getting in his truck and was leaving. And Jonathan parked across the street, and then he tried to figure out which garage. So in the railway, there were different garages. And Robert worked in a specific garage, and he tried to remember which garage Robert worked in, and he could not for the life of him remember. So he was about to abort the mission when Robert just happened to come back. So Jonathan, quote, got himself together for about 10 to 15 minutes and then followed Robert into the garage. When Robert came out of the office that was in the garage, he saw Jonathan and they had a brief conversation. And
Whoa.
This is my question right here, because in my research, when they were having this conversation, Jonathan had that old man mask on. So I'm like,
Yeah, because he was prepped the entire
yeah.
time.
So I'm like, well, what was
Yeah.
Robert doing?
Thinking, what were you?
And how did
I
he
don't
know it was Jonathan? Did he just
Yeah.
come out and Jonathan was started like, oh, hey man,
What's going on? How's it going?
how's it go?
What you up to?
I came to say hi. I mean, I know the last time we
Yes.
talked was you telling me to leave your wife alone, but oh, the mask. Oh, February, Halloween's right around the corner. Yeah. I'm like, what in the world? What could have possibly been said? So,
And it's dark. Imagine how extra creepy that
but I
must
mean,
have
he's
been.
in an office, so it's
Like-
light in there. So it's not.
Oh, they were
yeah.
in the office. He followed him
Well,
all the
he
way
was in
into
the garage,
okay.
but the garage is like a
Yeah.
big old office. And
Like
then he
bri-
has
dim-
his little
brightly
office,
lit,
so it
and
wasn't dark in there.
Okay.
So they had a
It's
brief
still just really-
conversation,
it's
which
really
I'm
strange.
just really, I really would love to know what that conversation was. And then Robert turned his back on Jonathan to go back into the office. And
That was
it was
it.
at that time that Jonathan decided to shoot him. So he tried to take the gun out of his backpack, but his makeshift silencer had gotten stuck on something in the corner of the bag. Now, everybody knows what it got
Oh,
stuck
no.
on. You know how those bags have those little strings in it and you can't get your notebook out, or, normal people, we can't get our notebook out or our pen out or something like that. So the silencer got stuck on, I'm pretty sure it was the string in the corner of the backpack. So he couldn't get it out. And so what he did was he shot Robert with one round while the gun was still in the bag. So he shot through the bag.
Through the bag. That's what I was picturing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, so when Robert was on the ground, he went and tried to make the scene look like it was like a robbery gone wrong. So he picked up, like, I think a laptop and I don't know, some other stuff, and emptied a drawer. And then he started leaving. But then he was like, wait a second, suppose he's not dead. So he turned back around and shot Robert one more time to make sure he was dead. And this time when he shot him in the head. And then he
Wow.
left. And when he got home, he looked at his phone and saw he had like all these missed calls. He's like, who the hell? Who called me? And he saw it was Sabrina. And so he called her back and he let him know that she was okay, that he was okay. And he also said, it's done. Like I said, 007.
Yeah.
Now, one of Robert's co-workers found him leaning against his truck, dead, in a pool of his own blood. So that's how Robert was found, unfortunately.
Wow.
And unfortunately, the co-worker had to see that. Because imagine being at work.
Yeah, discover
yeah,
that.
like,
Yeah.
oh my God. So it's not only... anyways, I don't even want to think about that. I feel sorry for Robert.
Yeah. And, it's a shame to be just an innocent party in, these triangles,
could've
and you're just because the fact that
just
you are alive,
divorced
you're just
him,
going to die.
left him. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many options.
She
that
could have moved
had.
to Kalamazoo, Michigan with her lover
good
and just
Lord.
didn't look back. I mean, there's so many other options, I feel like, than just having to kill someone.
There's so many
And then
options.
if you're going to commit a murder, why would you have an accomplice? That never works. Because someone's going to sing like a bird anyway, or someone's going to fumble.
You know our
or
catchphrase
someone's going to
already.
back out. What was
I
that?
said, our catchphrase already. So, being nervous
Yeah.
and paranoid, Jonathan and Sabrina kept... I mean, what do smart criminals do? They kept calling and texting each other.
There's so much digital evidence now on that cell phone.
They kept talking about their friends and who they thought they were suspicious about and who would call the cops and everything, and just, racking up the evidence.
Right.
The police, of course, began investigating the murder because, I mean, it doesn't look like an accident. I mean, he has a bullet wound in his head. Doesn't look like it's a heart attack. Oh, Johnson, wrap this up. Obviously, he died of natural causes. No, you shot someone twice. So
Yeah,
they
and
began
the head is so
investigating the
obvious.
murder. And during it, the police also found the surveillance video at the rail yard. So they looked at the surveillance video and something kind of seemed off. And we'll get into that later. Because it was her husband who died, police brought Sabrina in for questioning. So when she was questioned by investigators, she was cooperative. They said she was kind of like emotionless. She wasn't really like, oh, my husband, what? He's dead? She was kind of emotionless, and she was very cooperative and giving details about, her husband's work schedule. And she was like, no, 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 officer. Robert didn't have any enemies. There wouldn't be anybody who would possibly want to kill him. Oh, poor me. Oh. So just days after the murder, though, Jonathan's cars were already parked in front of Sabrina's house. They didn't even wait.
Right. That was silly.
Yeah. The funny thing is, Jonathan and Sabrina were actually right to be paranoid. So you remember Jason, right? Yeah. Well, him and his wife, Kelly, called the cops and told them that they were suspicious of Sabrina and Jonathan in the death of Robert. They also told the police of the affair that Jonathan and Sabrina were having behind Robert's back. And police were like, oh, yeah? Well, thanks for the heads up. And they ended up putting surveillance on Sabrina and Jonathan. They posted police at their house and wiretapped their phones, and even wiretapped the burner phone that 007 thought couldn't be traced back to them. So once Sheriff Meyer looked into Jonathan's phone records, the truth slowly started to come to light. Police were able to identify Jonathan as the gunman, mainly because, well, for many reasons, but the surveillance video I was talking about. At the rail yard, they went back to the night of the murder, and they were able to, figure out all the vehicles that were going in and out. Except for one unidentifiable vehicle, which was a motorcycle. Jonathan's motorcycle. He'd call it a different color, but it still has the same, like, the license plate.
Make and model.
Exactly, make and model. Even though you colored certain things, it still has the same pattern. Like,
yeah.
Geniuses they are. Good Lord. So anyways, they were able to identify him as the gunman, and he was arrested on November 18th, 2014 on first-degree murder. Sabrina was also arrested on the same day, but shortly after the arrest, she was released because there was actually not enough evidence to hold her. Jonathan...
Well, she was just waiting with the phone by the phone. That was it. But she schemed with him and planned with him.
Okay.
So you're still an accomplice, but you don't have to physically be there if there's witnesses to prove that you were a part of the whole planning process. But I guess that wouldn't carry as much merit, when it comes to a trial.
Well, Jonathan decided to go to trial. He was like, yeah, I'll let a jury of my peers judge me. I ain't do nothing. I ain't do it. No. So, yeah, he was, trial, yeah. 2 days before his trial date in January 2017, Jonathan was like, remember how I said I was a man and I'll go to trial? Yeah. Anyways, I decided I'm not going to do that. Do you have a plea deal I could take? And they were like, sure. If you testify against Sabrina, yeah, we have a plea deal for you. So he decided to take that plea deal. Now, my thing is, I wonder what changed his mind. I wonder if it was like while he was put away, maybe Sabrina was talking trash. Maybe she wasn't standing beside him. Maybe she was backtracking on how much she loved him. Something had to have happened for him to change his mind.
His lawyers could have told him that maybe he won't stand as much of a chance if he, I don't know. Sometimes it depends on who's really buzzing in your ear, because you could think that maybe you're making the wrong decision.
I don't know, but something made him change his mind. So Jonathan told them that he was the one who pulled the trigger, but Sabrina was the mastermind behind it all. So Sabrina was rearrested in January, and her trial began in the same month. During the trial, she said that she was just a promiscuous vixen, and I'm just a vixen, and I'm, and I'm not a killer. I just like sex, and I don't kill. No. Jonathan, on the other hand, sang like a bird. He said that Sabrina had started talking about killing her husband in April of 2014. They had talked about numerous methods of killing Robert, including burning him alive in his car, and as we know, poisoning him before they settled on shooting him. They wanted the murder to look like a robbery gone wrong, which is what I said in the beginning, and this is why Jonathan ended up stealing some things and ransacking the place. Right. So, it just looked like a robbery gone wrong. Sabrina came back with the defense of, nuh-uh. She said she had no knowledge of any planned murder. The prosecution presented the court with photos, phone conversations, text messages.
That's right, because they were trailing them, yeah.
And friend testimonials that detailed how Sabrina and Jonathan worked together on the planned murder of Robert. Remember Jason? Well, in court...
When Jason comes back, he resurfaces, yes.
Well, in court, him and his wife admitted to engaging in sexual activities with Robert and Sabrina, but they clarified, we did sexual activities, we didn't actually have sex with them. So Sabrina
there's a difference.
Retorted that, well, Robert and Kelly were having an affair, but Kelly was like, no, we weren't. The prosecution then pulled out a letter. You know how you pull out the icing on the cake, you just pull it out.
It's like, hey, look what we have here.
So they just pulled out a letter that Sabrina had given Jonathan on Valentine's Day 2014, in which she said she was looking forward to their future together. Sabrina, in turn, was like, and this was when
my letter?
Her defense started to crumble. Now that she wasn't as strong in her defense, she started answering her questions with, quote, I don't know what was meant by that. I don't remember. Exactly. Yeah. Jonathan testified that they had briefly discussed getting a divorce, that, he had talked to her about divorcing her husband, but Sabrina didn't want one. She said because she had 2 children and she didn't want to have to deal with, child custody issues. And she thought that she would look like the bad guy in a divorce. And
you're right. Committing murder and going to prison for 30 or 40 years. You wouldn't have any issues with seeing your children.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because she said that anyway, losing her would figuratively kill her husband. So she said actually killing him would spare him the emotional pain.
Oh, put him out of his misery a lot faster. Okay, that's very logical. Very logical.
Jonathan said,
Sabrina,
quote, she expressed her husband would honestly rather be dead than divorced, end quote. He said that they were in love and needed Robert dead, so get this, so that they could be together and raise Sabrina's 2 kids together.
What's a instant father? I'm their new father. I'm their daddy.
And they were just going to be like, okay, Uncle Jonathan, you're our dad now. Yeah, what's a good Lord.
So he wanted that. He was looking for the instant family and the love, the fake love, because I've taken your life from you.
Have you met children? Do you really think they would just forget their dad in 2 seconds and you're now dad? Good Lord.
And not to mention the rumors flying around that you killed dad. Like, hello.
That's
so crazy.
He said that they were in love and needed Robert dead so that they can be together. So that's his logic. And he was like, right? You can understand me, right, officer? You see why I did it. I needed to be with her and raise their kids.
Raise the kids. Raise the skillins. Come on. Raise the kids.
They'd also planned on collecting the $300,000 in Robert's life insurance. And getting the continued benefits that the railway paid deceased railroad workers' families.
Yes, exactly.
So
especially the children, the minor children.
Yeah. Sabrina's
as well, they
lawyers,
receive.
in turn, argued that it was only Jonathan who thought this, and Sabrina had nothing to do with it. Quote, this is their whole quote. It's a whole paragraph. Quote, okay, I should put on a lawyer's accent. Your Honor, quote, there's no question that Hearn's notes, letters, and statements to Limon evidence his desire to eventually marry her and help raise her children. In fact, they illustrate his utter obsession with her, Your Honor. But Limon's cards, notes, and statements to Hearn prior to Robert's death, while demonstrating her infatuation with him and expressing her love, were ambiguous, sir, as to whether she planned a future with him that did not include Robert. This evidence did not corroborate Hearn's testimony that Limon acted without the requisite intent to kill. End quote. Jonathan testified that part of the reason Sabrina and him connected so well was because she didn't want to be in the swinging lifestyle any longer. That was not her. She was always a monogamous person, and she wanted monogamy. But Robert...
Yes, and a wholesome relationship.
But
and
Robert...
marriage eventually with Robert.
Robert didn't want to give up having multiple sex partners. Ew! Just Robert. Everything is Robert. Sabrina then jumped on that statement and was like, yeah, I didn't think Robert loved me because even though he found out that I was cheating on him, he found out on 2 occasions that I was cheating on him with Jonathan. And then there was Dale, and, he did nothing to mend our relationship. So, yeah, he didn't love me. This is what happened. The jury, on the other hand, was like, yeah, okay. Once in deliberation, it took the jury only 6 hours to come to sentence. On October 5th, 2017, the court found Sabrina Limon guilty of murder, conspiracy, solicitation to commit murder, and being an accessory to murder. Damn, they just found everything.
Yeah, they threw the book.
They found everything. They were like, I think you were the who's that
mastermind?
No, who's that serial killer in England from the 1800s or whatever that they never found?
Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper.
We think you're Jack the Ripper. we think you were in cahoots with Jeffrey Dahmer. They just threw everything at her. Good Lord. She was sentenced to 25 years to life, while Jonathan was sentenced to 25 years and 4 months with a chance of early parole due to his plea deal. Ugh, I don't like that at all. Anyway, Sabrina's attorney, Richard Terry, released a statement saying that, quote, Hearn saved his own... Oh, I got to say it like this. Hold on. Quote, Hearn saved his own butt. It's hard to fathom how they found her not guilty of attempted murder, but involved with the murder? Really? They're both guilty, you moron. Anyway.
Yeah, but but how did he get less? He actually got a better
plea deal. That's what it was.
Yeah. Oh, he did. That's right.
Yeah.
Remember,
so his plea deal, yes,
he threw her under the bus.
Exactly, and backed over her and forwarded over her.
Yes, he did.
Honked
like a
the horn, pom pom, threw up the peace sign. So Sabrina Limon is currently 41 years old and is serving her time at Central California Women's Facility. In March of 2021, which is this year at the time of this recording, she appealed her conviction in its entirety, claiming that there was a total lack of evidence. Total, Your Honor. Total lack of evidence.
They had no evidence.
No evidence.
Right. Oh, what were we thinking? Yeah.
The court said, yeah, well, we saw a total amount of evidence. Now stay your butt where you are, and threw out her appeal.
Of course.
Jonathan Hearn is currently 31 years old and is serving his time at the Ironwood State Prison. He will be eligible for parole in November of 2028. So,
wow.
Sabrina's alive. Jonathan is alive. Robert Limon is dead. And their 2 children are now without parents.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about this case? Do you think Sabrina and Jonathan got enough jail time?
No, I don't. With this whole jail time thing, we go back and forth because we always have different opinions about it. But I absolutely do not. It was just it was excessively premeditated because there wasn't just one plan. Even burning him alive was thrown in there, which we didn't realize that initially. That is the most torturous way to
okay.
to die.
So my thing is, I don't think there was enough jail time. You have to take in to account all of the evidence. So
yes,
she never expressed remorse to killing her husband or to having her husband killed. She just wanted to be like, I didn't do it. I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't help Jonathan. Like, there's no crying. There's no remorse. There's sadness.
Never taking the blame for anything.
So I would take that into account. Also, I would take into account that you took away 2 children's fathers. So you affected 2 minors. So I would take that into account when I was sentencing.
Exactly.
I would take into account the length of time they planned and the fact that they tried to kill him once before.
That's right.
The plea deal I would have given Jonathan is, I won't shoot you in the eye if you tell me this. That's about all you get.
That's about it. Don't give him any more breaks.
Yeah. But this whole 25 years with the possibility of that was bullshit. I'm so mad at that.
It is. And when you have that possibility, you can also get out on good behavior a lot easier too.
Yeah.
After, say, 15 years or maybe 12 years.
And then for Sabrina, there was a lot of evidence, even though she's trying to act like there wasn't. They kept texting, and she called him like 50 times on the day of it. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I said digital evidence. I was saying it's just through the roof.
Good Lord.
You can't, you have to know, this. You have to know what you were doing. These are the authorities... like I said, technology these days.
Dude. Anyways.
It's no joke. They can trace anything. But yeah, that story.
That was a doozy. If you like this episode,
absolutely.
Then go to Apple Podcasts, hit the purple button, and give us 5 stars. Please say whatever you want in the description. Say that, I don't know, this story was crazy. We like quadrilateral triangles. Just whatever you want in the description, but this helps bring us up in the charts. Don't forget to visit us on patreon.com and become a subscriber of $3 and above for crazy bonus episodes. So this week, well, not this week, it's really next week, Tuesday, because we usually come out with them on Tuesday. We're going to be talking about crazy crime, and we do have a roundup of just like really doozies. So go ahead and visit us over there, become a subscriber, and you'll hear Char's crazy stories like you kind of heard some of the stories she was talking about tonight. So you'll be able to hear that. You'll hear these bonus episodes of the crazy crime, Florida crime, stuff like that. Stuff that we don't put in our full length shows. You will also hear I have a new show, The Chit Show, on YouTube. Well, it's coming out on YouTube, but you can hear the episodes, the full length episodes, before it's even out on YouTube. And when I do have it out on YouTube, it's just going to be snips and clips where I talk about shit. So I talk about a lot of different shows. I react on different shows. I react on different topics and different issues. I'm just talking shit about shit. And I want to talk shit with you. You know what I'm saying? So you'll also get that. You'll get our behind the scenes. You'll get access to a lot of stuff. And we, depending on what level you sign up for, you do get merch. You get discount on our merch. Just a lot of stuff. So if you want,
that sounds like a lot of fun.
If you want all of this, you go to our patreon.com/love and murder and become a subscriber. And depending on which subscription you sign into, you get a lot of good stuff. So anyways.
Yes, lots of good stuff.
Follow us on social media. Facebook.com/relationship crime. Instagram @LoveMurderPodcast. Our Facebook fan group that I keep mentioning throughout the show. Just search either Google or Facebook. Search Love and Murder fan page and it'll come up. In Google, it's like the first thing up there. Your true crime merch. And I'm also coming out with other stuff that's not true crime. I speak sarcasm and I speak movies. So I'm going to start putting this on my language on our stuff. So it's going to be shirts, mugs, all of this stuff. But right now,
Oh, wow.
right now,
That's
it's
exciting.
true crime merch in there. So go ahead and visit loveandmurder.threadless.com and you'll get all of that there. The easiest way to find all of this, though, is just to go to our website, www.murderandlove.com. That's love and murder backwards, murderandlove.com, and you'll find a link to our store, where to listen to us. You'll find show notes, so if you couldn't understand what we were saying, you could read it for yourself. We also have a brand new page on there of support our sponsors, so you can go on there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I did check that out. I don't know if I told you, but
Yeah,
looks,
you can go
looks
on
pretty
there
good,
and you
yeah.
could actually find really awesome true crime presents for the true crime lover in your life or even for yourself. So visit our website, www.murderandlove.com. A really cool, fast, easy, and completely free way to help us out is by just hitting the share button on this episode and sharing it with your friends. You can share it in text message. You can share it in WhatsApp. You could share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever young people are using nowadays, or older people, or people, whatever social
People
media.
who are people.
Yeah, people who are people who listen to true crime, who listen to this, who are the real people, love and murder people. You know what I'm saying? LNMers. I was about to mess it up.
LNMers.
But just go ahead and share this so everyone could be able to find us. You could discuss this case with your friends. You know, they can discuss it with us. Y'all all could discuss it with us. Y'all all can come down on us and tell us that, yeah, men and women can be friends. You're supposed to be telling us your case, remember?
That's right.
So if you
guys
share
get
it
that
with
case
your
together.
friends, they
Judge
can
and
help.
jury
Yeah,
on
they
us.
can help back you up with the case
Yeah.
and convince us that men and women can be friends. Now,
I'd love to hear it.
if your marriage is an isosceles triangle, quadrilateral triangle, a right triangle, or even if it's a circle and you don't want to be in it anymore, or maybe, you think you have to talk to your husband about what's going on, whatever. Just remember, we always remind our listeners, we don't want you to murder your spouse. Just get a divorce. But we don't want you to murder your spouse. We want you to always remember it's all love
and no murder.
y'all.
Goodbye.
Peace. Good night.
Have a great week, everyone.